Hey everybody, micro reflections for the 21st century here, a collection of introspections to shift your daily perspective. And this is a book that I wrote on behalf of Medicine Box, and it is available in our 90-day journey back to you. That is our bundle, including all the products and the informational courses, and again, that sets you up into our master class as well to learn about all these kind of concepts that I'm riffing on and breaking down. And these introspections started during a time, for me, in the weird new world of COVID when we were quarantined, aka isolation, aka spending a lot of time with self, and that's something that I really fancy and did really well anyway. And I started to microdose a lot and use psychedelics and be more open about that practice to get that out there to you. And that is what has shaped up into this micro reflections for the 21st century. But in the last reading, we learned that faith without action is dead. To keep your head in the clouds and feet firmly on the ground, you might hear some air blowing there. The fan just turned on. That is my fireplace behind me. Don't mind that. Pay attention to the content here. So we are in week 3, and we did that, the last one, and now we are going into clouds come and clouds go, yet the sky is always there. Another one that is a favorite of mine. And to take a deeper dive into these concepts, these frameworks, these ideas, these thoughts, these perceptions, these reflections, these introspections, schedule a call with us. And we would love to be able to talk to you and get you into our 12-week masterclass or journey back to you. That comes with the Mind's Eye introspective products, the capsules, as well as a plethora of other really amazing value adds, a community to be a part of, a weekly Zoom gathering that I host with some other friends of Medicine Box. We just have a lot of fun jamming out and riffing on different concepts. So this one here, this is a good one. Clouds come and clouds go, yet the sky is always there. External circumstance is not what draws us into suffering. Right there, I could spend 30 minutes on. Suffering is caused and permitted by an untamed mind in the appearance of self-deflating, thoughtless emotions. The natural pure mind is covered by these, ultimately leading to suffering. It's important to extinguish these attitudes with great care and awareness. When they cease to exist, so will the actions that arise from them. The objective practice is to understand how to dissolve the negativity and impulses into the deeper sphere of reality. The sky is always there before the clouds, and it's also there when covered by clouds. We are not different than this. We are nature. When there's an uncomfortable discourse within, pull what I call the observation card. Just pull the observation card. Eckhart Tolle says, stop everything you're doing in your life. Just stop. And then take a moment to observe your life. That is the observation card. Okay, everyone should have an observation card within them. And watch it from a distance. Let it dissolve into the ether. You don't have to stop the variety of feelings in the mind. Just don't get caught up in them. We know we can't change the weather, but we can wait with present awareness until it dissipates. Unquote. Consciousness is luminous in the double sense that its nature is clear and that it illuminates or reveals like a lamp that dispels darkness so that objects may be seen. And that's His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Thich Nhat Hanh, the other really awesome Zen Buddha, says, awareness is like the sun. Wherever you shine it, you have the ability to transform. So think about this here. Take some time to kind of just let that sink in. There's a lot going on. But really, this is all about not attaching the thoughts, not letting the thoughts turn into emotions that give us the signal into our body that something is wrong with us, something needs to be fixed, something's broken. and then we act out on that emotional trigger that is usually just buried in there, that's unresolved from the past, or we are trying to control the outcome of the future. So external circumstances is not what draws us into suffering. We draw ourselves into suffering, right? So suffering comes from the pain that we may be experiencing, the pain that we haven't really sat with and let dissolve into the ether. There's another saying that I have is that depression is for people that don't know how to be sad. That's really just pain and suffering. So if we don't know how to be sad, we don't know how to deal with the pain, we don't have to deal with the uncomfortable feelings in life, and we haven't given ourselves the chance to be comfortable in the uncomfortable, that pain naturally just turns into what we think of as depression, right? We store it in our body. We haven't done anything about it. In the microdosing with the mind's eye, as I always say, it's a gentle rake that just scrapes away the vestiges of our ego, right? Kind of just like scrapes away the psychological bedrock of that pain that we've buried and buried and buried and buried. That turns into what we think is depression, but it's really just suffering. And suffering is caused by an untamed mind, right? An untamed mind saying like, that's just a thought coming in. That's an intrusive thought. That is a piece of information coming from my past. And a good practice here is when that intrusive thought comes in, you can say like Control Alt Delete, return to sender. That's not mine. Or as I eloquently say, get the out of my head. Just get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. In the appearance of self-deflating, thoughtless emotions. That's fear, my acronym for fear. False evidence appearing real. That false evidence that comes in, right, it informs us that there is a perceived threat, okay? And it appears real because we're starting to feel it in our body. And when we feel it in our body, that is our subconscious telling us that there is some untamed, unhealed aspects in our life that we should pay attention to. So pay attention to that. Just invite it and say yes. The natural pure mind is covered by these, okay? We always have these negative intrusive thoughts coming in at all times. Something like 5,000 an hour. I think the average person has about 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. That's a lot, right? That's about 5,000 per hour, if we're awake, while our waking hours. 5,000 negative thoughts, which leads to the suffering. So we should be learning how to discern what these intrusive thoughts are. And it's important to extinguish the attitudes with great care and awareness. So extinguish these. How do you extinguish these with great care and awareness? So sit with them, right? Learn how to be sad, right? Depression is for people that don't know how to be sad. So learn how to be sad. And when they cease to exist, so the actions that arise from them. So when these thoughts cease to exist, right, we can sit in quiet contemplation, compassionate reflection, meditation, a couple deep breaths in. 3 of those, like a deep breath in, 5 count, and then hold it for 5, and then exhale for 5, like a 5-5-5 box breathing. Do that 3 times, and usually that will seize them for existing. So think about like a zebra in the savannah, in Africa. Picture this, and a lion is chasing that zebra. The zebra is full of fear. The cortisol is rushing through it, and the zebra is just running across the savannah to try to get away from this lion. And it does successfully, and the lion stops chasing it. What's the zebra do? You ever seen like an animal just shake itself out, right? And the zebra gets back to doing what it was doing, like eating grass. It doesn't think about what just happened, right? It doesn't store it in its body because it shakes it out within like 60 to 90 seconds. We are not different than nature, right? We are nature. So we can take these kind of practices and like not let it sink in and not obsess about it and not let it become part of our body. So it gets triggered later when we have a perceived threat, right? So think about being the zebra sometime when you just box breathing, the zebra shaking out, shaking out, shaking out, shaking it out, And the objective practice is to understand how to dissolve the negativity and impulses into that deeper sphere of reality. So that's part of like the shaking out. Let it dissolve the negativity and impulses. The deeper sphere of reality, which is the people, places, and things that we are all tethered to the larger fabric of the universe. Right? I'm actually looking at a quilt right now. And it's like a quilt. We are all interconnected. We're not much different from each other. We all have these negative thoughts. We all have these intrusive thoughts. But the one difference is, are you going to respond to them, or are you going to react to them? Are you going to attach to them, or are you going to avert from them? That's the practice. And the sky is always there before the clouds. So think of I'm looking out, the beautiful blue sky here in North Lake Tahoe. There's not a cloud in the sky. That sky is always there, wherever you are. Look outside right now. Look outside. Look at the sky. Wherever you are. The sky is always there, but when the clouds come, guess what? We think it's cloudy. We're not yelling at the sky because the clouds are there, right? We're yelling at the clouds so they go away. So the clouds are there to cover the sky, and the sky is also there before the clouds. So we aren't much different than that. So think of the clouds as like that, the emotional kind of overwhelming flood of sensation that we get. Those are the clouds. Eventually they dissipate when you give it enough time. And usually that time is us just paying attention and what? Accepting that the clouds are there and knowing that the sky is behind it. So knowing that that natural pure mind is always there for us. So it's not attaching to the thought and the emotion. It's letting the clouds come and dissipate and go, and the blue sky will come back out again. So with that uncomfortable discourse, the cloudy nature, the clouds coming over that natural pure mind, pull the observation card, right? That is, look. That's easier said than done with pulling the observation card. So you are the blue sky. The clouds are those intrusive thoughts and that overwhelming sensation of emotion that floods you. Okay, pull the observation card, right? And look at it from a gradual shift in your perspective and look at what is happening. That is not who you are. That is information. Those are sources of information coming from the past or some magical, illusionary fantasy world in the future, and just let it dissolve into the ether. Let the clouds just dissolve into the ether out there by observing it. Okay, that's the difference. So you don't have to stop. Now, this is the other thing. When people talk about meditation, like, hey, Brian, like, I don't know how to meditate. I tried, and I'm just so many thoughts are coming through. Well, that's the point. So think of meditation as, if you close your eyes, you're in a little rubber raft in the middle of the ocean. Okay? And all the waves around you that are just waving, those are all your thoughts that are coming in. You can't stop them. Okay? Just don't get caught up in them, right? Getting caught up in them is like, right, trying to grab, and you're pulling in the little waves into your rubber raft in the middle of the ocean. Or are you just going to just kind of drift, right? Drifting to shore, right? You're stranded out in the ocean on your rubber raft, and you're just drifting through all these thoughts. You don't have to stop the variety of feelings in the mind. Just don't get caught up in them. So drift back to a grounded and centered place. And at the end of the day, remember, always remember this. When it's raining outside, what do you do? When it's snowing outside, what do? You put some snow boots on, you put a nice heavy jacket on, or you put your rain jacket on, and you take your umbrella. Why do you do that? Because you're accepting that it's raining and snowing and it's cold out. Because you know deep down, it's obvious that you aren't going to change the weather, no matter how much you can be upset at the universe's and the creator's magic. You're not going to change that. But what we can do is accept it, take some action into it, and we can wait with present awareness until that dissipates. Okay? So there's no difference than waiting for the rain to go away, the cold weather to go away, then our thoughts and those overwhelming emotions to go away with present awareness until it just dissipates. And remember, shine the light of awareness on all of that, because that what gives you the ability to transform. So if you all want to learn more about these practices, these frameworks, these ideas, and just these little mindfulness tips and tricks combined with Mind's Eye microdosing, click on the video in here and you can schedule a call with myself or one of my team members. We'd love to have you join us in our 12-week masterclass, a 90-day journey back to you, and get you on the right path. And that's a combination of educational modules, transformation, products, and all the things. And we're really committed to seeing you transform into the best life possible with putting the best foot forward. And we're committed to that practice and seeing your success. So don't hesitate to reach out. And remember, clouds come, in clouds go, and the sky, that is you, is always there.